Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Possibility Partners TV show. I'm Ande Lyons, your host, and I love hanging out every Tuesday at 1 p.m. where I get to chat with the most amazing entrepreneurial adventurers. And they're sharing their story of how they got where they are, where they've been, and they bring the most wonderful, actionable, and inspirational advice to help you grow and thrive with your business. And today, I'm so thrilled you're joining us to learn how to maximize your online presence with the phenomenal Geekilicious goddess herself, Susan Finch. Susan, please say hello to everybody.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning for those of my friends here on the western part of the world. And I'm so happy to be here. What a treat.
Oh, my gosh. I recall the day I found you, Susan. I mean, I can feel a song coming on. It was just your bright, shining face and all the wonderful information that you generously share. Plus, your fine attention to detail. You really are remarkable with your online presence.
Well, don't check too hard for typos because they do creep in for typos.
I am so looking forward to learning more about this remarkable pioneering technology goddess, and I'm going to just do a quick introduction of Susan's background while I focus the camera on her sparkling face. Okay, so you don't need to see me reading. Here you go, Susan. There you go. Spotlight's on you. With a background in public relations and advertising since 1986, marketing, PR, and web pro goddess Susan Finch is a gentle guide for clients trying new venues online. She engages those skills as she helps create an online presence that will appeal to existing and future clients and or investors. All these factors are considered before she constructs a suggested plan for clients. It goes way beyond the online presence. And this multi-talented goddess isn't just focusing on her technology and her brilliant online presence. She has been growing a not-for-profit organization for almost 20 years, and she's been raising a family. So I'm especially excited to find out how she's been weaving her way and navigating the murky waters that sometimes can get a little choppy for us entrepreneurial adventurers. So, my dear darling Susan Finch.
My.
How did it all happen? What compelled you, first of all? What was the catalyst that drew you to the entrepreneurial adventure?
Oh, goodness. For that piece of it, that happened by default, as those things sometimes do. So at the time, I was working for an advertising agency in Orange County, which was the most delightful job I have ever had working for somebody else. The agency and the partners who ran it were so full of integrity and showed me how it should be done in that business. It wasn't Mad Men. Mad Men was not part of their vernacular. They were all about knowing that the customers don't need us. We need the clients. And so be of service. So that's what I was taught, in my early 20s. And I ended up there through a different path, and that's just all part of the whole marketing journey. Wow. But at that time too, I was engaged and got married, and my mother-in-law got really sick, and my father-in-law died. Wow. And so within 6 months, and I lost my father.
Oh my God.
So within the first 6 months of this very young marriage, I became a nurse. I quit my job. We were fortunate there was a little bit of funding there that we could do these things, but it was quite traumatic.
Absolutely.
It was life-changing. I had stepchildren that were, just several years younger than I was, and everybody was kind of all together, pulling together, but it was traumatic, and I had that husband wasn't keen on working for somebody else or working. And so, it was every excuse to start adventures. So we started an adventure in the antique business, and this was before eBay. So we used to drive around the country, actually, and pick and go and get out the dandy dime, thrifty nickel, and the penny saver, and look for the auctions and look for the items, bring them back to California, sell them in Temecula. And that was what we were kind of doing. I knew it was a hobby. I'm not stupid. But he was trying to convince me it was a real job. All I wanted to do was go back to work to an agency. That's all I wanted to do. Right. And he found another thing. And we ended up with an art gallery in Laguna Beach. And I met the most wonderful artists, the most wonderful customers, but that was his thing. I wanted to go back to the agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried that, but I found out quickly he wasn't going to work. And it was falling apart. And so I, again, had to leave and took over. And I did great. I know how to sell. I can sell rubber boats, ropes, anchors, artwork, jewelry. I can sell. If I believe in the product, it's easy. And if I can tell a story with it,
Mm-hmm.
which is what sells things.
Right.
And that is also where I ended up meeting my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, my wonderful, wonderful Tom, who will be my forever partner.
Yay.
And I ended up with some of my very best friends. It's also, though, during that time of trauma, transition, and wanting to run with my arms flailing, that I was inspired to start Binky Patrol. Binky Patrol is a 501c3 corporation. And at that time, when things were not going well and I was feeling quite trapped, and my friends, my clients, my artists, everybody was saying, we're going to get you out of this. You need out.
Mm-hmm.
Done with all of it.
You know, Susan, I love it when friends can come to our aid in such a wonderful way, where
Yes.
they can see and hold our vision for us while we're still trying to claw our way out of a tough situation. I'm so glad you had that in your life.
Well, and I had my mom.
Mm.
And my mom came to me, bless her heart, I want to make blankets for unwed mothers. I said, okay, we don't sew. And she had a sewing machine, and I had her old sewing machine. She just kept buying sewing machines and giving them to her daughters, hoping we'd sew. I hadn't sewn since 7th grade, making a gym bag in home ec with Miss McKeno. And so we tried, and we didn't know what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked the framers for my gallery, I said, do you guys have any fabric left over? Well, they framed for an artist named Dale Turbush. They framed for Wyland. They framed for all those guys that did all the ocean scenes.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of blues and blacks. So our first binkies were these weird fabrics out of blues and blacks. And we didn't even know how to cut them. So we were like tracing squares and cutting out one square at a time and then sewing them. And they were all wonky and crooked because it was slippery fabric. And oh my God. But during that same 4-hour period of this concept, 4 hours, not kidding, I drew the logo, the Binky Patrol logo you guys have seen in the event stream.
Yeah.
I thought of the concept. I put a sign out front with a sign-up sheet because it was like art walk night or something, and I had 4 people sign up.
Oh my gosh.
3 of them are still officers.
Oh my gosh.
And our local paper fell in love with it. The local businesses helped because some of them were clothing manufacturers and designers. They gave us the fabric. And Oprah Winfrey's people found us. And they put us on one of her shows that was for children with AIDS,
Mm-hmm.
for National Make a Difference Day.
Wow.
And that was it. It wasn't even me talking. It was nothing. It was a picture of me, and she read a statement about Binky Patrol. There was no website. This is 96, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
There was no website yet. There wasn't for Kaka. And so we weren't even officially nonprofit, but we went national the day it aired. I had no choice. I had to say yes.
Yes, of course you did.
And that's what you do. You say yes.
Yes, and this is what I love about this particular story. You notice that her mom came to her, and Susan said, with this great idea, and Susan said, we don't sew. That didn't stop her. She felt the calling. She felt the inspiration. She went with it. She knew how to put the shingle out. She knew how to engage. She knew how to sell. She didn't know anything about making no blankets. But with her heart and her passion and her willingness to say yes, there's that Tina Fey quote that says, say yes, you'll figure it out later how to do it, right, Susan?
It is. And I think I had some old tapes playing from when I was in my youth group in my church when I was a kid. And I remembered the retreats that we used to go on, Catholic church, and we'd go on these nice little retreats, and they were a trip. They were so fun, and you'd come back with that pink glow about you. Ooh, everything's wonderful. But I remember talking to what I call the invisible kids,
Mm-hmm.
the ones that nobody notices, the ones that are kind of forgotten in the corner and holding their own. And when I started Binky Patrol, there were plenty of groups doing things for, at the time, AIDS was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It still is, but it was really coming out then. And the children were still being judged if their parents had it and they got it, so they were being ignored.
Yeah.
The kids in foster care were ignored, the invisible kids, the ones that don't really have a home that are bounced around. those are the kids I wanted to serve. Those are the ones that still tug at my heart, are the invisible children.
Sure, sure. And what ages do you focus these blankets for?
Oh, 0 to 18.
0 to 18. Oh, how lovely. See, I didn't, I didn't realize that in that it's for all ages. That's amazing. So by starting Binky Patrol, is that what led you to become a Geekilicious goddess?
Well, sort of. So, okay, started it
Yeah.
and went national, but knew I was done. I made a phone call to a woman named Linda Lawrence who owns an agency in Orange County. So, Linda, get me out of here. I need to get back to something. So she says, hold on, I'll call the apes. And the apes were a group of advertising executive professionals. And so she called the apes and she put it out there and asked them. And one responded, Greg Smith. And Greg said, I need somebody for my PR firm in accounting. Okay.
Wait, was that like right up there? We don't sew.
We don't do accounting. So I went over there and he fell for me and for Binky Patrol.
Oh, nice.
And he said, I'm taking you both.
Oh.
And we'll build you a website, we'll get you a PR campaign, and we're going to do this, and you're working here. So I had my job, but within 2 weeks, our programmer quit, and we had a deadline for the City of Anaheim's utility department to come up with a website. I learned it on the spot. Dreamweaver had just come out.
Oh my gosh, I remember Dreamweaver.
I looked at Front Page, I thought this is the stupidest program I've ever seen in my life. And Dreamweaver came out like that week, and I learned it.
Now, how did you know that? Because, I mean, I remember Front Page and Dreamweaver. What was it that in your brain, in your mind, in your entrepreneurial deliciousness that allowed you to be open to saying, I can learn this? What experience had you had before that?
Well, Dreamweaver, besides that Microsoft made it, I knew it'd be stupid and came with a lot of clutter. But Dreamweaver made sense to me. And it did exactly, and because I had to learn how to write code, so what I was doing is opening pages in it and examining them to learn what was done. And these were simple HTML pages at the time, and we were just starting with templates and style sheets. That was all so new.
Right.
And forms and submitting forms, because we also were a hosting company. So we hosted the site. So I learned I touched servers. I knew how to do things.
Yeah, sure.
And set all of that up. And, those are my deep geek roots. But I could do that. But being able to apply that, and the client was very particular and demanding, and I'm grateful because she demanded me to step my game up and to proof better and to be pickier and to not, I'm somewhat dyslexic. I always was when I was a kid. And so math and things were a challenge. I was a slow reader, and I didn't really enjoy reading until I was an adult because it was such a pain in the butt. And my brother used to do my math with me out loud in middle school because I was failing. And so he would ask me the questions, and he tutored me through, and we found out I wasn't stupid in math. I just was dyslexic. And so I ended up being on the honors classes. So to proof this, because for me, I was stressed and doing new things, I had to actually turn what she would give me upside down and go word by word to slow down.
Wow.
And then put check marks by everything I did that she faxed to me to edit and to add.
That's amazing. That's a real solution brain that you have, because you knew what you were up against.
Yep.
Knew how your brain worked. And for folks out there, especially those of you with children who have some of these very vague definitions for their brain, like our oldest has nonverbal learning disorder, etc. Your children can learn the same things to help them succeed. Susan, this is a beautiful example. Thank you, thank you. So then you learned how to do the coding. You learned how to double check your work, because if there's a dot or something out of place in coding, it shows up right away back in the day, right?
Right, and more of it was actually just the copy itself.
Yeah.
And learning I knew how to make graphics because of my previous experience before the ad agency even. So I had an idea of proper layouts working for an ad agency that took all sorts of awards. I was trained by some of the best.
Nice.
So I was really pleased, and that style still comes into play in a lot of what I do for clients. A bold headline, a bold image, a subheading, call to action, we're done.
And, well, yeah, but let's talk about centering, spacing, the different font size. I mean, there's a lot more that your eye has been trained to do, which is so important. I don't want that diminished in any way, shape, or form, because it really is. To make something that's appealing to the eye and getting a message across is a very special talent. I just want to celebrate that about you, Miss Susan.
Thank you. I had to laugh. Richard Owens in the comments, and he said, "Yikes, Dreamweaver, Susan Finch." I actually still use Dreamweaver. Because my life is not about WordPress.
That's right. No,
and yes, I can hand code in Notepad. I can write in 4 different languages, coding languages. But Dreamweaver saves me a heck of a lot of time for the mundane, and then I go back and tweak it. So yes, I do still use it, and I still love it. I love most things Adobe.
I love that. Hey, Cheryl, I agree. This is such an amazing story. I am in awe and wonder myself. Thanks for putting that out. Love that. So my goddess, my Geekilicious goddess, there you were helping this ad agency out. When did you become unemployable? Oh, I'm sorry. When did you become an entrepreneur on your own?
I got pregnant.
Hold on.
And we lost Anaheim.
Okay.
And they brought it in-house. It wasn't for any other reason than they decided to bring it in-house and let the geeks take over. So we were without our biggest client. It was half of our income. So we decided to go virtual. And at that point, the timing was such that, hey, you're pregnant anyway. So how about we be your first client?
I love that.
So I had a built-in huge client from the start to support me. Greg Smith he's one of the most encouraging people, and Jack Mealer, rest in peace, from the ad agency, from Roberts Mealer Emerson. But Greg is also a teacher. He taught at Long Beach University, or Cal State Long Beach, excuse me. And so he knows how to teach. He knows how to nurture. He knows how to allow you that freedom to learn and experiment. And so as my client, he has also continued to do the same.
Now, folks who are watching, you have to understand, this is in the mid-90s. Not many women were out there coding. Not many women were out there in technology, right, Susan?
Yeah, we're at 2001. I had Savannah in 2001. So it was about that time. And it was still pretty new, and it was still the guy. It was almost always the guy. And I have to admit, and Greg knows this because I razz him, as a woman, I get intuitions. And there were times with our servers that I would say, I have a gut feeling we've been hacked. Or I have a gut feeling our log files are too big because we're bogging down. And I was dismissed as the girl. So I go to one of the guys to tell him, and then it'd get looked at and it would be fixed, and that's what it was.
Nothing like getting validated by the other gender on something like that.
It was pretty funny. I knew it was right. So I really didn't even worry about that validation. I wanted to solve the problem.
Right,
so if he wanted to listen to me, I had to get to somebody else he would listen to.
Right.
And that was enough for me. And it's
Perfect.
still, it's not the ego thing. And I know we all need to be able to toot our own horn and talk about our accomplishments, especially when we work for others. Because nobody else is going to do it for us.
Right.
We can't count on having Andy in our corner, or Lainey, or some of you others in our corner cheering us on, saying, she's fabulous. We have to let people know we're fabulous, because the men are doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we need to learn from them, and they will do it for us, too. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah. Men are
some of the fans.
Yes.
Men have daughters, men have nieces, men have wives.
Yes.
So they support us. They want us to succeed as well, because it takes some of the pressure off them, guys.
Well, and also men love to help. And some of my best mentors have been men. They've been wonderful. They've helped me, especially with my food manufacturing business. Oh, my gosh. I just want to throw something out here, too. When we had our .com business, may it rest in peace, it was a wonderful 2-year run, almost 100 employees in Southern California. One thing I noticed, though, as a woman in the business was the culture that had been really entrenched from 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, which was the guys, sleeping there at the office, young men, all night doing whatever it took, to launch that business. And I remembered getting interviewed by Wired magazine and saying, this is not sustainable, because women have a lot to offer to this space, and I don't see any women who are going to want to raise a family and have a full enriched life as we need. We're not hyper-focused. We are, the meadow gals and our cave women brains. And we need the opportunity to also be able to get to our spa treatments, our children's games, and things like that. It just didn't seem sustainable. Did you notice that as well?
I did, but I want to say something to
Hmm.
that type of man, too.
Yeah,
Because those, to me, were also the ones not ready to quite be grown up all the way that were playing. And so they were shirking everything else in their lives. Because I've
right.
known a lot of them.
Yeah,
And I
good
watched them
point.
grow up from that sleep at the office mentality to, I'm taking the weekend off. I have a wife, I have a family, or I'm volunteering at the church, whatever it is that they're doing. But that's a grown-up thing too. You know, the boys that use, and I do call them boys because at that
Hmm.
point, that's that mentality. It's like, oh,
That's
I can
right.
do it all, and this is what I do, and that makes me important because I can do this and I sacrifice. We just caught on faster. That's all.
That's all. It's wonderful.
But
And
the men that I enjoy
holistic
working with
way.
the most, yeah, the men I enjoy working with the most, you know, whether it's collaborating with people like Stepan, whether
Hmm.
it's working for Greg or some of my other clients, the men that I enjoy the most are the ones with that balance and get it.
Wonderful. That is so wonderful because, folks, you can have it all. You just don't need to have it all at once, and at the certainly at the expense of other really important things in your life. How much fun are we having listening to the pioneering Geekilicious goddess Susan Finch of SusanFinch.com? Be sure to hop onto her website and check her out. She is one Andelicious entrepreneurial adventurer. So, what one event stands out the most to you, Susan, in your entrepreneurial adventure? I mean, you've had so many extraordinary experiences of faith and trust, of saying yes, of just doing it. Anything that you haven't mentioned that really stands out in life in your entrepreneurial journey?
For as far as business goes, I've covered most of them. It was,
Hmm.
knowing where I was most comfortable.
Right.
And I think, realizing that somebody else's dreams aren't mine.
Boy, that's a good one.
That was a huge one, and I knew it all along and was just going along because I was being the dutiful wife. And I didn't like it, and I wasn't having fun, and I knew that I wasn't doing my very best, but I also was brought up in a house that that's what's in front of you, just do it. Okay, that's your thing, and your
Hmm.
family is doing this, so this is what you do. But it didn't fit. So further that it went on that it wasn't going to keep working unless I kept giving more and more hours, 14 hours a day, et cetera, for retail. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So I knew I had to get out. So, it was a cumulative turning point.
Right.
But I knew it from the beginning. It was just when was I going to be brave enough to take that leap?
Thank you for having the courage, my darling.
Yep.
And I thank all of you out there for having the courage to pursue your dreams, to pursue a way of life that works for you and your family, to pursue full expression of your wonderful, glorious self. Seriously, it does take courage, Susan. Thank you. So
But
let's talk about, oh, go ahead. What?
I was just going to say the other part that gives me is my gift I can give to my kids. I
Yes.
let them see that. And they ask the questions about what's your favorite job? What have you always liked doing? What would you do if you couldn't do this? And so we have wonderful conversations on that topic, and I want them to always know that any possibility is open to them.
That's right. It's all about the possibilities. Aren't they onto something already, Susan?
Yes, they are. They're. It's interesting because I'm one that, if anybody's seen any rants recently for me, I pay interns.
Yeah,
I don't believe in free interns. I think it's wrong, and that is a big deal to me. But I
absolutely.
also, if anybody can do the job I need and I'm going to make money off what you do, I'm going to pay you something fair.
Yeah.
So my son, who is 9,
Mm-hmm.
helps out with the filing,
Yay.
all the receipts, the tax receipts, and he does a great job. He is very methodical. He takes great pride in his work. He wants to do it right. He gets paid for that every month. He gets paid a decent wage. It takes him about 2 hours to get it all done. He makes $30.
Nice. So she's not just paying minimum wage either. Thank you very much. Here in
No,
Boston, we have so many universities in the greater Boston area. If you want an intern, you have to pay them and you have to provide a space for them in this
right.
neck of the woods. It's pretty remarkable and very honoring.
It is, and I'm working actually through the school right now. Once we get back to school, I'm looking for 3 middle schoolers that I can hire for 2 hours a month each. 2 hours a week each only at the most, or an hour a week, and pay them at a decent rate and teach them how to write and do social media. And so I'm going to let them help pick up some of the slack, whether it's for me, whether it's for, I have 2 clients that already said, we are open to that.
Wow. See, what a great, because as you know, so often in our public school systems right now, they're teaching kids how to spit back what they want you to learn, and they're not teaching you really core life skills and how to solve problems, how to keep things moving forward in a business, or just some everyday to-day management skills, right?
It's interesting. I've had several moms actually approach me, oh gosh, I can make money doing that. Yeah, so I'll give them a test kind of and see how are they going to follow through and perform. And all but 2 have failed.
Wow.
Out of 10.
Wow.
Because they talk big, but they really didn't want to work. They didn't want to work on a schedule. They didn't want to have to do any of it. They just want to complain that people are making so much money doing this mundane things. Like, then why aren't you doing it?
Right.
Offered it to you, making way more than you can make anywhere else. And so, my friend Karen Maris, when I dared her to write, because I've seen her writing, she now is one of my chief writers.
Love that.
And she has her own business now. And we walked through that whole planning together. And that, that comes back down to the mentoring.
Right.
We should do that after the break?
Yeah, we'll talk about that, yeah. Okay. Well, right now I'd really love to focus on our topic, but, I've got a few comments I'd love to share.
Okay.
And Bob Barron, thank you, darling man. Yes, we will do it. You're fabulous, Susan Finch and Ande Lyons. Thank you so much for that, Bob. And Deborah Oakland, who lives in Laguna Beach. Hello, Goddess Deborah. You are right. I love Susan Finch. Does Susan live in Orange County? She looks so familiar. Great call, Courageous Goddess.
I used to. I lived in Orange County for 40 years. And my gallery was on Forest Avenue. It was right. It used to be next to Wyland's Gallery on Forest Avenue. The restaurant that's down below and the gallery's up above, guys, with that prefab art that it smells like wet paint in there all the time. Anyway, that used to be my gallery.
And then, of course, we have Cherie Valentine. Somebody else's dreams are not mine. So true. And how often do we sacrifice our own dreams for someone else's? Susan Finch, love that you're able to follow your own dreams. Thank you, dear Cherie. And, of course, Kristen, I'll totally be a middle schooler. How wonderful is that? Oh, my gosh. Well, let's take a minute to talk about why maximizing our online presence is so important. And let's, first of all, define that. What is online presence? And also, what are the elements and what's involved? Graphics, videos, posts, language, etc.
Online presence, it means different things, and it has to be what, it's going to be kind of a self-defined thing. For me, online presence is where I show up for real. Not just what I shove out there on autopilot. My online presence is my true engagement. It's where I'm going and conversing with people, commenting on them, complimenting them, sharing what they've done, and talking about how wonderful they are, and being supportive in context. Not just, hey, I like your stuff. Hey, that was great. Hey. Really looking at it and saying, I pulled this from what you said, and thank you. I'm sharing that information. That, for me, is online presence. I am present.
Yes.
I am not just splattershot out there, which is effective as well. And I can do a lot with that. But I am so much more enriched, and my goal, somebody asked me on my birthday, Tom Flynn, hat tip to you, in my backyard, asked me, in so many years, how many people do I think I will have affected? And I told him thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
In a positive way, because I'm genuinely showing up.
Right.
And that is online presence, folks. It isn't your social media reach. It isn't your online marketing plan. That is different.
Yeah, it really is.
So remember that word, presence, is being present and engaging.
And taking a deep breath and being here now and really looking at someone and their work and what they're trying to do out there in the world. It's honoring, and it is, I think, a true form of engagement. So thank you for that, Susan. And at the same time, How about our images? How about other ways of using our words and our brand for an online engagement presence that's really in the now?
I have fun after like a visit with the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
I love to go back with my extra time and pulling out quotations. Because even in the comments, and that's I cheat because I can just go to the comments and grab the quotes that everybody does for me. But I can make a tasteful graphic.
Yeah.
I can use it as a talking point and blog about it. I can link back to the show that it was on. I can honor the person who said the quote. I can honor the person who invited me to be on the show even if they didn't say the quote.
Yep.
I can share it with people that I know it would benefit to hear the quote and tag them in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way to reach. With the images we post, and I know we all keep reading about, oh, you post big images and you get seen more. It still comes back to good content, doggone it. Learn how to write a sentence, learn how to write a paragraph. And if you didn't learn it in school, I'm sorry. I had an English teacher, Mary Jean Giota, that kicked my hiney on both things. And it doesn't always show in my writing, I admit. But I do know how to do it. I do know how to recognize it. And I'm not saying I'm a writing snob, but when you are writing promotional material, brochures, website copy, this is the brochure static stuff. These are not your opinion pieces.
Right.
A little more forgiveness there. There's more forgiveness with comments and quotations. Marlon Shotland and I just had this discussion on Facebook that there are content snobs for the typos, for this, and they get so distracted by that in a quick thing. You know, let's get back to, they took the time to read my stupid post. They took the time on their tiny keyboard phone to attempt with their fat fingers to type something. And yes, there will be typos, and you can't always go back and edit, nor do you always have the time because the next thing's calling you, and you got to drop that, close the app, take off, go help the kids.
Right.
Thank you for engaging with me. Thank you for acknowledging my existence and taking the time to say anything other than like.
Right.
And plus.
I agree. And one of my favorite things to do is I open up a blog, I read, I pull a favorite quote out, and I have a video on this on my Andelicious video channel on YouTube. I then use all the share buttons because I have folks who follow, and I have folks like you who I may want to ping on with those share buttons. So make sure, everybody, that you have good share buttons in place. But really, it doesn't take much to grab a quote or something that you were touched by on someone's post and share it. It is the best way to build your online presence and engagement, and that's engaging with others in a meaningful way. It's not about your number count on any of these platforms.
No.
It's about the engagement. Who's following you? Who are you following? And how are you all communicating to each other? Thank you for that, Susan, for taking such a strong stand.
I don't have that many followers compared to a lot of you. I don't. I'm decent. Mm-hmm. But what I have are people that I connect with regularly and have conversations with.
Yeah.
And that support me, understand my talents, my weaknesses, my strengths, and I do theirs. So I can actually help bring more to them, better qualified leads for them that are pre-qualified. I am your CRM.
Tell everybody CRM stands for.
Go ahead.
No, you tell.
It's customer relationship management and lead management systems and lead gen for lead generation. We are each other's lead gen programs.
That's right.
If we do it right and we take the time. And you will end up with the best leads for new business that you could ever imagine by paying attention and shutting up and listening to others and then truly doing something more than like and share. You can like and share, but mention it. Talk about it. Why did you share it? Why was it cool? Why was it inspiring? Why did it make you cry? What is it?
Beautiful. I love that. Aren't you guys inspired now? It really, of course, it does take a little bit more energy, right, Susan? It takes a little more thought to engage in that kind of way, but it really is worth it because you build solid relationships. Yeah?
Yeah, and it's about discipline, though, too, guys. Mm-hmm. Multitasking is not good. Some, especially women, I can multitask. Yeah, so you're failing somewhere then.
Yeah.
Stop it. Discipline yourselves. For me, it's from 6 to 7:30 is nonprofit volunteer help my friends time.
Mm-hmm.
Online. Right. Then I'm done. I have to put it away for the most part. I'll take a lunch break and might check in with a few
Mm-hmm.
people, and late in the day I'll do it. But the rest of the time is money-making time, and that's for clients.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means doing social media for the client, then I do it. If it's social media for me, it waits.
Right.
If I'm watching shows I missed that I'm not on or whatever it is, that's the weekends. And I do the replays.
Yeah, that's a very important entrepreneurial tip that you just gave there, everyone. The scheduling, the time, and social media. And because I guess I'm a gal, and so I will chat more, I schedule a little bit more for myself in the mornings, or the times that I like to do. And I'm like you, Susan, I like to do it first thing in the morning. But boy, you do have to exit the platforms and exit your email if you really want to get that money-making work done. So that's excellent advice, Susan. Thank you. And talk about how folks can work with you and benefit from your amazing experience and services.
You can find me at susanfinch.com. There's a contact form, and it will ask you the question, because I do not take on new clients that are not vetted. So you would have to say, how do we know each other?
Nice.
And maybe even so-and-so says, I'm good. I'd be a good client, because I don't want to waste any of our time, and I want to do the best I can for you.
Right.
So cold call people that come to me, I don't take them. They've got to know somebody I know so I can get some references for my clients too. I'm worth that.
Yes, you are. Oh, come on. That's another great entrepreneurial tool, everybody, right there. Unbelievable advice. And what, you help build websites, custom websites. What else do you do for folks?
I create training video libraries for their proprietary software, for their procedures in their offices. I love doing that and helping it make. Laguna Woods Village in California is my client.
Yeah.
And if you know what that used to be called, Leisure World. And there are 18,000 residents there, and 200 clubs, and 200 club presidents that contribute to their website. Well, I felt bad after a while, and so did Greg Smith. We felt bad going in there and taking their money to train the same people 3 times in a year with the same stuff. So this isn't right. They're not catching on sometimes. So I made a whole video library for them and continue to do that.
Like a screencast video?
Exactly, for minute 5-minute tasks.
Nice.
To make it simple in little pieces. I want to do this one thing. How do I do it? And I love doing those. I love teaching. I love teaching, and that moment when the light comes on and they get it and I've helped them, that's my biggest joy and gift in what I do.
That is so wonderful. I love that. And you're right about being able to do those screencast videos. A nice little revenue stream, folks, if that's something that you like to do. If you like to teach and you like to help people get through, that's a nice little...
If you know how to teach, not everybody can teach.
That's right. Not everybody's a Ronnie Victor or Susan Finch, that's for sure. Let me just pull up, I like Richard O's comment here. For me, social media is about being social, adding a comment and passing it around. Susan and Andy. Oh, thank you, Richard O, for that. That's wonderful. Well, folks, how much in love are you with Susan Finch? You can see why I'm crazy about her. I follow her everywhere she goes, probably stalking. And but I love what she did. Did you see the graphic she created as a promo piece for this event? It was just stunning, beautiful.
Well, that's self-serving. I mean, good grief. Could my head be any bigger?
Oh, I know, but come on. You have a wonderful, anybody has refined sensibilities, you'll want to work with Susan. So find somebody who knows her. so you can work with her. You can connect with Susan right here in Google+. Go to susanfinch.com. She has all her share tools up there. You can find her, follow her, stay connected with her, and engage with her. This is somebody that you definitely want in your life in many, many ways. I just have to remind everybody that this is the Andelicious month of August, which is my birthday month. So I am offering 50% off my Ask Andy call and 20% off all my products and programs. Just visit andelyons.com and email me and let me know how I may help and serve you and your growing business. And in the meantime, visit and subscribe to my Ande Lyons YouTube channel, where I have wonderful Andelicious advice and videos for you to keep you moving forward and helping your business grow and thrive. Next Tuesday, August 19th, 1 p.m., right here. Guess who's joining me? Yep, Jason T. Weiser, the man, the myth, the legend, is going to be here. We're going to have a great, great conversation with him. I appreciate everybody's time joining us today, the wonderful Geekilicious goddess Susan, who's waving now to everybody. Hi. And myself. I know how your time is so important. For those of you who are watching the replay, how about Susan's story? Is that amazing? Yeah. Here's the high five on that one with you, or the bump. Just remarkable. So much great advice here today. And for those who stay connected with me, you know, I love seeing you there on Twitter, here on Google+, Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, wherever. It's so wonderful to hear what's making your heart sing and all about your entrepreneurial adventures. And for those entrepreneurs out there, thank you for having the courage to realize your dreams, to be on the adventure. It really is, as Susan Finch said earlier, just say yes, and you'll figure it out later. I'm going to post the link into the comment thread now for you live viewers. I hope you click on it and join us for a post-show or afterglow chat with Susan and myself. We would love to see you and share some wonderful conversation with you. Ciao, and see you next week. Mwah.